really important to have a high quality recruitment system for your business. If you're looking for A players in your business and you don't have a system, the chances of you ever actually securing an A player are pretty minimal. And again, A player talent is the top 10% of candidates in a role for a salary. What you're looking for is 90% certainty that that person is an A player. So if you don't have a system, you're never going to get close to that 90%. You're always going to be in this situation where you're guessing. So a really good quality recruitment system gets you out of that guess zone and gets you into the know zone, as in, I know that this candidate is going to be an A player candidate for my business. Now, what I see is a lot of people doing voodoo recruitment, and voodoo recruitment is pretty much, I write up a job scorecard, or I write up a position description that I think kind of suits the role, and typically what they're really going to focus on is the skills, the technical skills of that person's background. What have they done? Where have they worked? Have they worked in my industry? And then they'll write an ad, and a lot of the times the ad is talking about the business and not talking to the potential applicant. Applicants come in, they scan, and they'll look at resumes based on their previous biases. They'll never really look at the resume based on a specification that you've written in the cold, hard light of facts. And then they bring someone in for an interview, they sit them down, they ask them a few questions, and they really like the person. It's what I call their happy ears. They put on their happy ears and they sit and listen to the person, and they forget all of the things that might not suit the role. They only see the things that would really suit the role, the stuff that they like. They put an offer to that candidate. They typically need money. They'll rely on money in order to secure the candidate, not the other things. Often they'll skip out reference checking. They put an offer to the candidate. The candidate says yes because the money's been right. And in 3 months' time, everybody's looking over their shoulders saying, what the hell happened there? How do I hire great candidates? And you have to go right back to the start. And the way you hire great candidates is with a system, and a system stops all of that guessing. So there's some really important attributes of a high quality recruitment system, and it's the 4S framework that I use all of the time. So the first S is scorecard. And you need a job scorecard that talks to 3 elements. So a job scorecard defines the ideal candidate. It defines the ideal candidate. And there's 3 elements to a good quality job scorecard. One is their behavioural tendencies and cognitive ability. I call that head. One is their cultural match. Do they meet the culture of your business? Are they going to fit into the environment of your business? I call that the heart of the candidate. And do they have the skills, the experience, and the knowledge? I call that the briefcase. So when you're writing a scorecard, you write a scorecard that talks to the head, the heart, and the briefcase. The second S is sourcing. You've got to go out and find applicants for this particular role. Now, you can ask people, you can ask your network to introduce people, you can ask your staff, or you can write an ad. Now, in this current candidate-starved market, you're probably best off writing an ad and putting that up, plus asking your staff, plus asking networks about who they know. And also, if you've got tools like LinkedIn Recruiter or anything like that, making some proactive outreach to people is a very, very powerful way of sourcing candidates. So sourcing is the next stage of a really good quality recruitment system. Next, once you've sourced all of your applicants, you need to select. You need to get that down to your final 1 or 2 candidates. And that's just a system of selecting people out as you go through the selection process. So part 1 of selection is a desk screen. You look at the candidate's resume, you look at their cover letter, you see how that matches up to the requirements of the role, which is defined in the job scorecard. Once people get through that desk screen, you conduct a phone screen. And a phone screen is like a mini interview, and it's really just designed to see if you're going to invest your time and the applicant's time in actually bringing them in for an interview. The third phase of the selection process is what's called a career history interview, and that's a comprehensive review of the candidate's career history. And it's their history. You start from the start and you go right through to today, and you need to ask the same set of questions of each role so you can understand patterns in their career, because past patterns are a really good indicator of future patterns. And if you can understand the patterns of how this person's likely to behave, you can see that by virtue of their past patterns. And the final stage of the selection process is reference checking. So your desk screen, phone screen, career history interview, and reference check. And that takes you down to what's called a focus meeting. And a focus meeting is where you do the last part of a good quality recruitment system, and that's sell. You have to put the offer to the applicant, and the applicant needs to know why that they should take that role with your business, because no doubt if they're a good enough applicant, they've got 4 or 5 other opportunities available to them. So it's important that you sell. So you sell, number 1, the company. Number 2, your management style. Number 3, the future, and as in the future of that role. And finally, the last part of the sale process is to present the financial offer to the applicant. And if you go through those 4 S's, scorecard, source, select, and sell, it's likely that you'll be able to secure your A-player candidate. A good quality recruitment system is not about complexity, it's about clarity. A simple system done well outperforms instinct every single time.